What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So we finally got the carpet dried up, got the 4Runner into the shop. It turned out pretty good. There's still some staining in it, but for the most part the smell should be gone. You can see it's a little bit dirty still, but not a big deal. All that's underneath floor mats anyway, so we got the whole floorboard basically scrubbed up. Came up really clean, so let's get the carpet back in. We can start throwing the seats in and get this interior all back together. There we go, guys. Interior's all back together, looking good. So I may have this side of the seat right here repaired, and then I want to find some OEM floor mats for it, but other than that, it's looking good. So next on the list, I want to get this battery hold down. I found one, but it is bent, as you can see, so I'm going to bend that, get it to fit. The power steering's making a bunch of noise, and I checked the dipstick and there's barely anything on there, so we got to add some ATF to that. And then we can start working on this 4-wheel drive, see if we can figure out what is going on now. So I was messing with it when I was bringing it in the shop, and I hit the 4-wheel drive. The lights up here were flashing constantly and never engaged 4-wheel drive. And then I took it out of 4, and the lights are still flashing, turned the car off, started back up, and they're still flashing. So I don't know what's going on. I think it's something to do with the actuator on the transfer case, because there is some RTV on that plastic cover. So we're gonna tear that apart. Maybe it's the contacts in there are corroded. Guys, you can see, I'll throw the key in, and the light's right up here for the 4-wheel drive. They're just constantly flashing. I can throw it in 4 on the button, doesn't change anything. So we're gonna tear into the actuator and see what is going on with that thing. Alright guys, here's a transfer case actuator. So I found a test. You can check for continuity between the pins, and that'll tell you what position it's in, if it's in 4-wheel or 2-wheel. But no matter what I do, I can't get any continuity between any of those pins that should have continuity. So I think I'm going to pull this cover off. There's just 3 10mm bolts. This whole cover comes off, and there's the gears inside which have to stay exactly where they are positioned right now. So you can't screw that up, but I believe you can still get to the contacts and get those cleaned up. Alright guys, got the actuator off, and you can already see there's like some rusty gunk down here. So I think this section here is actually supposed to stay in the transfer case, and you basically pull the cover off. So I'm gonna have to realign everything. Not sure how to do that, but I'll do a little research, figure that out. But let's get this off. I'll show you under here. This thing is full of rust. So I'm gonna get all this grease cleaned off here, make sure all these contacts are actually complete, and get this cleaned up. Alright, clean this up. So you can see this contact right here is completely burned through. There's literally nothing left of it right here, and then this one over here is kind of burnt too. So I may need a new actuator. I may be able to solder that and kind of sand it down. We're gonna mess around with it, see if we can fix it. Alright guys, I pulled the motor out. We gotta clean this up. That's the main reason I want to pull it out. It won't even go engage in this gear because it's so full of crap. And also, I was able to put this whole spindle back in, and I'm getting the right continuity through each pin that should have continuity. So I'm not sure exactly if that burnt area is really gonna hurt it. It's still got continuity on either side of it, and really this contact makes its connection right here, not over here. So I'm not sure why it runs all the way over. I think what I'm gonna do is clean it up, put it back together, get it on the truck, and see if it'll actually engage and turn the motor at all. Alright guys, hopefully you'll be able to follow me here. So this is the continuity I was telling you about. So in 2-wheel drive, pins 3 and 4 should have continuity. In 4 high, pins 4 and 5 should have continuity, and in L4, the 4 and 6 should have continuity. So what I have done is I marked, you can see the paint mark there, there, and there. Those are the 3 positions. So that's, I believe, 2-wheel here. I believe that's 4 low and 4 highs here. And then I marked in line where the contacts on here line up, and you can see that mark there. So what I can do is stick this in here and line the 2 marks up, and then I'm able to check continuity through the pin where it's supposed to have continuity, you know, 4 and 5 or 4 and 6, and it's functioning like it should. So I'm getting continuity where I need it and how I need it. So I'm gonna leave that weird looking contact right there. I'm gonna see if it's gonna affect anything at all if I don't do anything with it, because like I said, it contacts over here, not over here, so it should be fine. One other thing we got to do to get this motor back in, to get that shaft back in, is there's these contacts here that slide into these grooves right here, and then there's also those little springs right there that have to go in between the housing and the contacts. So I'm gonna have the old lady come out. She's gonna help me with little tiny screwdrivers. We're gonna have to hold the springs and contacts into this housing to be able to slide that in, and then we'll throw a little bit of grease on it, put it together, and see if it functions. Another thing we gotta do real quick is throw some smell good in this thing. It's already smelling a lot better in here, so we'll give it some scent and should be good. Alright, we got the actuator back in. Hopefully that's aligned. I know that shaft should be in 2-wheel drive, and I set the motor in 2-wheel drive, so we should be good. I'm gonna have her turn the key on, hit the button, and see if anything engages. Look at that. We're in 4. Hit it again. Did you hit the button? Well, that didn't do anything, but we got it in 4. Alright guys, we got it in 4-wheel drive. It won't disengage. I'm not sure if you actually have to drive it to turn the transfer case to get it to disengage, but it is locked in 4, and it didn't do that before, so we're getting somewhere. Let's bring it outside and get this thing moving and see if we can get it out of 4. Alright guys, tried it again. I unlocked it out of 4-wheel drive, got it back in 2, manually set the rod in the transfer case in 2-wheel drive, put it back together, it engaged 4 again, but it won't disengage. So I think what could cause this problem is these switches up here. So I'm going to pull both of these out and I'll show you how to test these. Alright, here's one of the switches. So there's 2 of these, and these should have continuity when you depress the end here. So I got these alligator clips. If you guys have never used these, you definitely need them. They're like $5 on Amazon. You can clip them in there. You ain't got to fumble around trying to keep the leads of the multimeter connected. So let's test these real quick and see if they're good. Alright, if you guys could hear that, it was like very intermittent with the continuity through it. Luckily, look what I found in the glove box, 2 brand new switches. So I'm going to swap this one in. I'm going to pull the other one out and test it as well. But I'll put the new one in here, test the other one. I might just throw both of them in. I don't know if they're a decent brand, but I already tested those and they are working. I got the other one back in. I pulled this one out and it's doing the same thing. I'll show you what it should sound like. I'll test this new one for you so you can hear the difference. So you can see this one makes continuity through the whole stroke of that pin, whereas the other switches were intermittent when I pressed them in. So we're gonna swap this one in. The other one is brand new. So let's throw them in and see if they work. Alright, so we're in 4-wheel drive. You can see it's locked in. I'm gonna have her turn the key and hit the 4-wheel drive button, see if it will unlock. Well, it's still not unlocking. I'm gonna have to dig into it a little farther. Alright guys, I pulled it back off, and every time I pull it off, the contacts are right here, right where this burn is. So I don't know if that has something to do with it. I'm gonna see if I can get some solder on that, flatten it out so we get a nice solid contact. Alright guys, I got some solder on there, so I'm going to very carefully take my little wheel here, and just a little sanding wheel, and I'm going to grind that down flat and see if that helps at all. Alright, we got that solder ground down nice and smooth, and it looks a lot better, so that should give a good connection. So let's get this motor back together. We got to get the transfer case, that rod inside, you just move it till it's in 2-wheel drive, and then we can get all back together and see if it works. So if you can see up in the center of here, there's the teeth. That is a shaft that runs all the way into the transfer case. So what you got to do is grab a flathead screwdriver and I believe pull it out to get the transfer case in 2-wheel drive. Then we can throw the motor back on and we'll see if this thing works at all. Alright guys, I got it all back together and I'm outside right now. I want to try it while I'm in drive and moving and see if for some reason that doesn't trip it. So let's just get moving a little bit. We'll hit 4. Lights are just flashing, but it locks in 4. I'm in 4-wheel drive right now, but the lights are flashing. So same thing. I'm not sure why the lights would be flashing when it actually fully engages in 4-wheel drive. So a little more digging, I guess. All right guys, I think I know what's going on. So after messing with it for, I don't know, about an hour, I've taken this thing off about 10 times now. And every time I took it off, it was stuck between, so it goes from 2-wheel into 4 lock and then to 4 high. So I think when you hit the button, it automatically goes all the way around to 4 high. And then when you hit the center diff, it'll come back to the middle position and lock the center differential. So it wasn't wanting to go past, it was getting jammed. Something with the actuator or the transfer case was getting jammed in between going from 4 locked to 4 high. So I messed around with that rod in the tranny and got that to actually, it was pretty stiff at first. Like it was very hard to move in and out, and now it's freed up a little bit and I can throw it in 4-wheel drive and it completes its cycle into 4 high. So I got it freed up that much, but now when I put it back into 2, I can hear the motor turn and it still won't come out of 4-wheel drive, but I think it is something with the transfer case, and I think it could be the oil. I've actually seen a lot of threads online, people saying they can't get their 4-wheel drive to disengage. They changed the fluid and it solved it. So when I'm messing with that rod in the transfer case, it's pretty smooth and easy to get into all positions except coming out of 4 high. So what I think I'm going to do is reset everything on here. I'm going to change the transfer case fluid. I'm going to drive it, get a couple miles on it, get that oil all circulated throughout the transfer case, and try it again. So I really think that's the problem. Like, especially when I pull the actuator off, I know the motor's turning because this spring right here is turned. So when I unbolt it, it automatically springs out. So I know the motor is trying to turn, but I think it's just taking too much force to move that rod inside the transfer case. All right guys, picked up some full synthetic 75/90 gear oil. So I think it takes just over a quart, about 2 of these. So before you drain all the fluid out, make sure both plugs you can actually get out, because if you drain it and you can't get the fill plug out to fill it back up, you're kind of screwed. So break both loose, then drain it, and then we'll refill it. I got the oil drained and filled up the transfer case with the new stuff. Good news is there's no metal or anything in the old oil, so that should be good. So what we're gonna do is get it outside, get it in 4-wheel drive, and get that transfer case warmed up, get the new fluid circulated through the whole transfer case, and then we'll screw around with trying to unlock it and lock it in to lock the center diff in, and see if we can get it unlocked from 4-wheel drive back into 2. Alright guys, let's see if it'll lock in 4-wheel drive without screwing up. There we go. So you can see the 4 tires, I guess, lights on that little diagram there are solid green. So that means we're in 4-wheel drive. If we were to lock the center diff in, the center circle light, the orange one, would stay solid. So we're gonna drive it like this, get it warmed up, make sure everything is lubricated, and then we'll try messing around with it a little bit, see if we can get it unlock. All right guys, moment of truth. Let's see if this thing will pull out of 4-wheel drive. No, still no. Well guys, I'm gonna wrap it up right here. So we're making progress. So it goes into 4-wheel drive, no problem. Still having issues going back into 2. So it may just need some exercising. I know even the Toyota OEM manual says that you should put it in 4-wheel drive. a couple times a month just to make sure everything stays lubricated and freed up. So that could be the issue. We may just have to drive it and kind of just exercise it. If that doesn't work, I may have to tear into the transfer case and see what is going on. So I really hope I don't have to tear the transfer case out and do that. But if that is what it needs, that's what we're gonna do. So I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. Smash that thumbs up button, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.